Paredes.
And I'm Mackenzie Rowland.
And today we are interviewing Mr. Mills.
We're interviewing him in honor of Veterans Day, which is a public holiday held to honor U.S. veterans and victims of all wars. We'll start with our first question. Mr. Mills, what war or branches did you serve while you did serve? And what was your rank and where did you serve?
Oh, I served at Fort Hood, Texas. I was a sergeant, and I was in the United States Army.
Mr. Mills, were you drafted or did you enlist?
I enlisted.
What made you enlist?
Well, I was skipping class one day, and the assistant principal caught me, and so I had to do some quick thinking, and I told him I was at the courthouse to see the recruiter, and so then I went up and had to talk to the recruiter, so that's how I ended up getting in the Army, basically.
Where were you living at the time when you enlisted?
Here in Andrews.
Do you recall the first day in service?
Yes, we flew into Fort Polk, Louisiana, in a little bitty plane, and we got there at the airport, a little bitty airport right off from the base, and we heard all these noises and everything, and there were mosquitoes as big as birds everywhere there in Louisiana, and it was so humid and hot and everything, and the drill sergeants picked us up and put us on a big bus. And if you've ever seen any movies where the servicemen were getting to the basic training, they'd always have a drill sergeant come on the bus and scream and yell at everybody and scare you right off, you know, out of your wits and everything. And they told everybody we had 10 seconds to get off the bus, and so that was, yeah, they scared us pretty good.
You mentioned that you enlisted because you were skipping school, but when you went and talked to the recruiter, did you know right then that you wanted to do that, or was it kind of, did it take time and blood?
No, I knew I didn't want to graduate from high school and go to work in the oil fields, and so I thought, well, I'll try the Army and just see how everything worked out from there, you know.
Can you tell me about any boot camp experience?
Well, they would always get us up at 4:30 in the morning, and we had an hour to make our bunks, make our beds, shave, get dressed, and go out front. And then the drill sergeants would come out and get us all in formation, and then whenever they play reveille, and that's when they put the main flag up on post, and then everybody'd stand there at attention, and while they played the reveille, you know. And then they'd take us and march us to where we'd do PT, physical training. And we'd be out there doing jumping jacks and push-ups and sit-ups and leg lifts and everything for about an hour. And then they'd run us for an hour. And they had like this table was like the Battalion Avenue, and there were about 4 battalions all along this avenue, and they'd run us every day, one time all the way around, and it'd take about an hour to get all the way around. And then we'd run in the company area, and then we could go to breakfast. Well, they did this for about 2 weeks, and then one day they ran us in and then ran us back out. And then we started heading out like we were going to go run one more time all the way around. And guys were falling out left and right because they thought, oh no, we can't run for 2 hours. And then all the guys that dropped out, they'd have them do grass drills like in football and do up downs and everything like that. And they was just playing with our minds, you know. And that was rough.
Do you remember your instructors?
One of my drill instructors was a guy named Stephen B. McMillan, and he was about 5'8", and but you know he was okay. He was a pretty good guy.
Okay, I know that you did the boot camp and that must have not been easy at all, but can you explain to me what like got you through it? I mean, with it being really hard.
Yeah, I'd have to think about everybody that was here in Andrews. I'd think about my fiance and my parents, and you had to keep your mind totally focused on being away from where you were. Because if you focused on where you were, what you were doing, you couldn't make it.
Was it hard having a fiance back here when you were at boot camp? Or?
Oh, yeah. Because all I wanted to do was be back here,
Yeah.
and I was there for 4 months.
Well, thank you for sharing with us, Mr. Miller.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for your service and everything.
Thank you.
This is our next interviewee. He is known as Matthew and Tyson Valenzuela's dad, Mark Valenzuela.
Mr. Valenzuela, what wars did you serve in? What branch did you serve in? What would you rank and where did you serve?
I was U.S. Army, and I served in Operation Iraqi Freedom 3, which would be Iraq, the campaign in Iraq.
What was your rank?
I ranked out as an E4, which was a specialist.
Mr. Valenzuela, were you drafted or did you enlist?
I enlisted. Actually, after 9/11, we were all sitting in class. That went down. We all were watching, and that's kind of when and where I made my decision. I joined when I was 17. I was still a senior in high school when I made the decision and joined and enlisted. I had to wait until, August of that year. So I hung out that summer, and then that August of that year, I was 18 in June, and I went ahead and went to Nowhet.
Before 9/11 occurred, did you ever think about enlisting? Was that part of your future? Or?
You know, not really. I had a brother-in-law that was serving. I had an uncle and grandpas that served. And I kind of in the back of my mind maybe thought about it, but it wasn't a for sure deal until that, and that's kind of when it clicked, and that's when I made my decision.
After 9/11, did you, what was your reasoning?
I guess kind of like the rest of America, I was angry, and being still a kid, a lot of people didn't really understand that, but it kind of hit close to home. It hurt to see that happen, so I just kind of, wanted to make a difference.
Where were you living when you did enlist?
I was living here in Andrews, born and raised.
While you were there, did you see any combat or were you a part of any?
Yes, actually, we were attached to the 42nd ID out of New York, and our job was logistics. We did convoys from one place to another, getting either civilian contractors or military convoys, back and forth to the different bases that we had stationed all around Iraq. And there was a few times that we would come under fire. And actually, the first 2 weeks we were there, we were living right on the Tigris River, and we had a few shots at us from across the river. It was pretty exciting.
Do you feel like you were prepared before you did go into combat, or were you nervous, or?
Nerves were there. We spent I did 6 months in Fort Hood. We did Fort Hood and Fort Polk, Louisiana. Just added training because I was field artillery, is what I went in as. There was no need for field artillery at the time. So we had to all change our MOS, which is our job, over to infantry. So we had to go in and kind of retrain a little bit and learn some of those skill sets, that way we'd be prepared to go into combat.
While you were there, how did you, what was it like knowing that your family was home? How was that?
It was hard. There's still a lot of things that my wife doesn't know, that we just kind of leave out. We'd call home, and you pretty much just have to, hey, everything's great, we're bored, nothing's going on, and just kind of put that fake smile on and go forth, because I don't, at the time, she was pregnant with my oldest son, Matthew, so I didn't need that added stress of her wondering or worrying that something was happening or something was going on. So it just kind of, it was there. You just kind of put the best foot forward and do the best you can.
When you left and you came back to Andrews, was it hard to kind of readjust to the difference in the atmosphere and things like that?
It was, I couldn't drive probably for the first 6 months. You know, when we were over there, we owned the roads. If we needed to go into oncoming traffic because this side was blocked, then we switched lanes and went into oncoming traffic. You know, we drove down the center of the road to keep off the shoulders, you know, from IEDs. So coming back to the civilian life, it was hard to adjust because everything caught my eye. You know, a bag blowing in the wind would make me swerve, or I would be, you know, catch myself driving in the center of the highway. Time change was different. Just everything and anything, you're on high alert, I guess. So it's kind of hard to readjust when you come from a situation like that back to, you know, even if it's your own home, it was just, it was a tough transition.
Do you have any relationships with friends that you met in while you were serving?
I do.
Do you still have them? Like, are you still in touch with them at all?
Actually, I do. I've got some buddies that live close in Odessa, Midland, that I served with. You know, birthdays, holidays, we text each other, you know, call each other now and then. I see a bunch of them every now and then, here and there. It's just, you know, kind of the close guys that were in my unit, we still reach out and keep in contact with.
Well, Mr. Valenzuela, we're very grateful for you
Thank you.
serving our country, and we really appreciate you coming here and interviewing with
And I
us.
appreciate the opportunity to do this. Thank y'all very much.